All right, welcome back. Today we are going to do part 5 of our practice exam series, where I'm going through a whole RBT exam question by question, and then breaking down each question as I think about it as a BCBA and how I think you should think about it when you're taking your exam. So I hope this helps. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying my videos. I've got 2 more coming this week and 3 new ones every week and 1 on the weekend. If you're looking for study materials, check out our website, rbtexamreview.com. We offer 2 practice exams, a study guide, our combo pack that includes everything plus the flashcards, and then also the RBT competency study guide. So check all that out. Any questions, email me or leave a comment below. Happy to help. Keep studying, and let's get into it. So starting with question 41 today. Which of the following is not an example of an antecedent intervention? So what is an antecedent intervention? An antecedent intervention is something you do to prevent behavior. It's preventative. Our consequence manipulations, okay, are reactive. What do we do in reaction to a behavior? Okay, so these are basic terms you need to know based on your studying of your terminology and definitions. This question is asking, what is not an example of an antecedent intervention? So we're looking for something that isn't happening right before the behavior. A, your son brings home a great report card, so you take him out for ice cream. Well, this one looks like a consequence intervention, right? What is our consequence? Taking him out for ice cream as a result of what? The report card. So if the action or the response or the consequence or the intervention is as the result of something, it's typically not going to be an antecedent intervention, right? So A looks pretty good. Always read all your question choices, right? Just because you're looking for the best answer. Sometimes they'll try to trick you. So B, your client sometimes scratches you, so you wear long sleeves to session. This is a classic antecedent intervention. If you know your client is aggressive, or if they pull hair, or if they scratch, okay, you want to take preventative measures to prevent that behavior. Okay, so B is a classic antecedent intervention. C, you withhold all Kit Kat candy bars from your client until session starts. Again, motivating operation manipulation through deprivation. We're withholding Kit Kat candy bars, okay, to increase our client's want for these candy bars, the motivation to work for candy bars during session, okay? So this is happening before it is an antecedent intervention. D, you're painting your bedroom today, so you spread a bunch of newspapers on the ground to catch the paint drippings. Again, you're preventing something from happening, right? Before the paint gets all over the floor, you take action to prevent it. Therefore, it's an antecedent intervention. So the answer here is A. Your son brings home a great report card, so you take him out for ice cream. It happened as a result of something, therefore it's a consequence intervention, okay? And be aware of this word not, right? These not questions, except questions, okay? Don't get fooled by those. All right, question 42. Which of the following is an example of stimulus generalization? So we have generalization, where behavior starts to occur in novel settings across novel stimuli, right? We have stimulus and response generalization. Stimulus generalization is a response occurs across what? Multiple stimuli. Response generalization is multiple responses occur in the presence of one stimuli. So stimulus generalization, you're looking for one response, okay, and multiple stimuli. That's what you're looking for with stimulus generalization, okay? So you call your dog multiple nicknames throughout the day. I know I'm guilty of this, okay? Is calling your dog multiple nicknames, okay, is multiple nicknames throughout the day one response or multiple responses, okay? Well, different nicknames is different responses, and your dog is the same stimuli, right? So we're not generalizing across stimuli because your dog is just the same stimuli evoking multiple responses. So A is out. B, you like to take afternoon naps. Sometimes you nap on the bed, sometimes you nap on the couch, and sometimes on the chair. So what's the response? The response is taking naps, and you're napping on a bed, on a couch, on a chair. So you have one response generalizing across multiple stimuli. So B looks pretty good. Read all your answer choices. You see someone hold up their hand. This sometimes means stop, hello, or give me a high five. Okay, so the hand is the stimulus. However, the response could be stopping. It could be saying hello, or it could be giving me a high five. Okay, so you're generalizing response, okay, in response to the hand stimuli. So C is out. D, when you see your boss in the morning, sometimes you say hello, sometimes you say good morning, and sometimes you just smile. Classic example of response generalization. Your boss is a stimuli. You have multiple responses in response to seeing your boss. Okay, so the answer here is B. B is stimulus generalization. Okay, we've got afternoon naps, which is our response, occurring across multiple stimuli. Stimulus generalization and response generalization are tricky. Okay, my advice is if you're not understanding these two things, you work on them last, you study everything else, you get good at everything else, and then you work on these two concepts, okay? Because they're tough, right? Okay, tricky question. All right, 43. You've been working at a private practice ABA clinic. There is one BCBA who does supervision and runs the business. You are made aware that the BCBA is billing hours that they did not actually work. What is your responsibility as an RBT? So what this question really is an ethical question as far as your responsibility as an RBT when you know your boss, your supervisor, someone in a position of power is acting unethically. What is your responsibility as a behavior technician is basically this question, okay? Your BCBA is being unethical. What do you do as an RBT? A, nothing. Billing is not part of your job description. Well, that's true, right? Billing might not be your job description, but you know your BCBA is being unethical, right? It would be the same if they were being unethical towards the client, towards the parent, right? It's the same thing, okay? So you need to do something, right? B, you can choose whether or not you report your BCBA to the board, but you are not obligated. Again, no, you should act, right? If you know your BCBA or somebody's engaging in unethical activity, you should act, okay? The BACB board just released a whole new set of ethical guidelines, so they take it very seriously, right? They want you to be ethical for obvious reasons, okay? C, you should report your BCBA to the BACB board. Yeah, I mean, although this one is pretty harsh and D, quit your job immediately, no, not necessarily. So C is a little extreme. However, we're looking for the best answer given our choices, right? And with our 4 choices, this is our best answer. I mean, technically, you should probably talk to your BCBA first, okay? However, if you're scared of your job security or whatever it might be, then reporting them anonymously to the board isn't also an alternative, right? Point being, with ethical questions, we're trying to maintain standards, okay? Ethical standards, doing what's right, okay? Doing what's necessary, and acting in the best interest of your client, okay? When someone's acting unethical, you should take action, okay? That's your duty, that's your responsibility. All right, 44. When producing a line graph, the behavior you are tracking goes where? So we have our line graph. You should be able to picture this in your mind by now. If you can't, you need to go work on some graphing questions, get familiar with the line graphs. So our line graph, we have a y-axis, we have an x-axis, okay, and we have a data path with our data points. The behavior we're tracking goes where, okay? So does it go on the x-axis or the y-axis? It's basically what this question's asking, okay? Does it the x-axis, the horizontal, the y-axis, or on the bottom of the graph? So this is an easy question, and they'll do this sometimes where they'll give you the opportunity to eliminate incorrect answers very quickly, okay? But they're relying on you knowing your terms and your definitions. If you aren't familiar with line graphs, okay, then this question could take longer. But if you are, what do you notice about the answer choices? The x-axis, the horizontal, and the bottom of the graph are all the same thing, okay? So you can immediately eliminate all those, and you know the y-axis is the right answer, okay? These questions should be easy given your studying, right? Now, let's say you don't know any of that, but you should still know that the behavior goes on the y-axis, time goes on the x-axis, and that goes for all ABA line graphs, okay? 44 is a very easy question. You should fly through that question, okay? And they'll do that. They'll give you a really tricky question like that generalization question, and then an ethical question, and then they'll give you an easy one, you know, a layup, so to speak, and you should just knock it out the park, right? and move on, okay? But it relies on your knowledge of the terms and the definitions. 45, you're working in a classroom providing assistance as an RBT. Your client's target behavior is participating in class. Each time your client participates, you give them a check mark. Once the client receives 6 check marks, the client exchanges them for either a handful of Skittles or a 2-minute break. What are you implementing? Is it naturalistic teaching, forced choice, negative reinforcement, or token economy? Well, we know it's not negative reinforcement, right? Because you're giving them something, right? So C is out. It's not a preference assessment because you're not making them choose between 2 things. Now, they can exchange something for these options, right? But these are called backup reinforcers, okay? And that's a hint, right? We're not naturalistically teaching because we're contriving this reinforcement system. So we're implementing a token economy. And I haven't talked too much about token economies, okay? But you're going to be working with them basically every day as an RBT, okay? Most, if not all of your young clients will be on token economies. And a token economy, okay, is providing a token or a check mark or a generalized condition reinforcer in which the client can exchange that token for backup reinforcers. And our Skittles or our 2-minute break are our backup reinforcers, okay? So you're giving them check marks, which are acting as the tokens, okay? They're conditioned reinforcers, okay, for target behavior. And then that client is exchanging those check marks for either handful of Skittles or 2-minute break, okay? Generalized condition reinforcer exchanged for backup reinforcers. And that is a token economy. Token economy is great for rapid reinforcement, generalized reinforcement, okay? And you're going to be using them a lot, right? So pretty easy question, okay? As long as you're familiar with token economies. 46, when is the best time for you to use an intermittent schedule of reinforcement? So what's an intermittent schedule of reinforcement? Well, it's a schedule of reinforcement where you aren't reinforcing every instance of behavior. Remember, we have continuous reinforcement, which is FR1, which is every instance of behavior is reinforced. And then we have intermittent schedules where not every instance, right? So all the other ones, basically, okay? So when is the best time to use an intermittent schedule of reinforcement? Is it A, you taught your client a behavior and now want to maintain that behavior? B, your client is struggling to acquire new skills. C, you are trying to teach your client a new behavior. Or D, you are struggling to gain momentum with the client. All right, start with D. When you're struggling to gain momentum with a client, what should you be doing? You should be doing some sort of high probability request sequence, right? You should be gaining behavior momentum with a bunch of easy requests and quick reinforcement, okay, in order to gain compliance and momentum, okay? This is not the time to use intermittent schedules. So D is out. B and C, you're struggling to acquire new skills or you're teaching a new skill. Remember, when we're teaching new skills, the best thing to do is continuously reinforce because we want to really throw a lot of reinforcement at the behavior we want to see early, right? We want to really teach it, okay, and get that behavior built up. Now, once they already know that behavior and we just want to maintain it, okay, so we want them to be able to display the response or display the behavior, okay, without needing constant reinforcement. And when that occurs and we're maintaining the behavior, we are now reinforcing on an intermittent schedule, okay? So A is the best time to use an intermittent schedule of reinforcement, okay? Straightforward question, but you need to study these reinforcement schedules, okay? As an RBT, you're going to be working with basic reinforcement schedules, FRs, VRs, FIs, VIs, all the time. So you really need to know these, okay? So if you don't understand this question, go back, review basic schedules of reinforcement. 47, which of the following is an example of automatic negative reinforcement? So, like we always talk about, when we're talking about reinforcement or punishment questions, okay, we always want to ask ourselves, is the behavior increasing or decreasing? Are we adding something or are we taking something away? And is the reinforcement or punishment done by another person or is it done only by one person? So in this example, automatic negative reinforcement, Automatic means there's only one person involved. Okay, remember we have socially mediated, where there's another party involved, or another person. Automatic, there's only one person involved. Negative, taking something away. Reinforcement, behavior is increasing. So with that knowledge, let's tackle our answer choices. You're driving in your brand new car on a perfect springtime day. Your favorite song comes on the radio, so you turn it up louder. Well, this is automatic, right? Because it's only you. It is reinforcement, okay? Because when you hear your favorite song, you turn up louder. However, what are we adding or are we taking away? We are adding, right? We're turning up the music louder, right? We're not taking away the music. We're adding to the music. We're adding the music, okay? So this would be automatic positive reinforcement, right? A is out. B, your client is constantly receiving detention at school. During an observation, you notice that every time your client disrupts the class, his friends laugh. So is this automatic or socially mediated? Well, it's socially mediated, right? Because when your client disrupts the class, his friends laugh. So other people around him are what? Positively reinforcing him. Okay, B is out. C, you were making coffee when you accidentally dropped the pot. The pot shattered and glass went everywhere. You ask your roommate to help you clean it up, which they do. Automatic or socially mediated? Well, there's more than one person involved, right? Your roommate is helping you clean up this glass, okay? Therefore, it's socially mediated. So C is out. So it has to be D. You went out with your friends last night and woke up with a massive headache. You take Tylenol and your headache goes away. So automatic because it's just you, right? The response is taking Tylenol. And what is the negative reinforcement? We take away our headache, okay? So the answer here is D. Good question. Like I always say, the reinforcement and punishment questions really test your knowledge and your understanding of the ABA fundamentals, okay? So make sure you understand that question. 48, you're assigned a client and home. The client has multiple siblings, but they all share one Xbox. Your BCBA requests that you spend your first 2 sessions building rapport and observing behavior. You notice that each time your client's brother is on the Xbox, your client will run over and unplug the Xbox. This results in the brother getting off of the Xbox and your client playing the Xbox. What would you hypothesize is the function of unplugging the Xbox? Okay, so function question. We're hypothesizing functions. So when we're hypothesizing functions, we always want to eliminate the easiest one, right? Or the easiest one at least to identify, which is automatic. And it's the same way we do it reinforcement wise, okay? Automatic reinforce or automatic, the function of automatic, right? Or sensory or whatever you want to refer to it as. The behavior is happening in an alone condition. Basically, the client or the person is alone and the behavior is still happening, okay? So ask yourself, is the behavior happening alone or around other people? Well, this behavior is clearly happening around other people, his brother, okay? So we can rule out automatic, right? Remember, this is a hypothesis, so it's your best guess what you're going to be doing as an RBT. But automatic does not seem to be the case here. What about escape? Is your client escaping from anything? It doesn't seem like it, right? It seems like they're gaining something. Remember, behavior usually happens to gain or get rid of. The client doesn't seem to be getting rid of something. They're gaining something in this scenario, right? So escape is out. So now it's tangible or attention. Well, the client's brother's on the Xbox. The client runs over, unplugs the Xbox. So you might say, well, maybe they just want attention from their brother. But what is the client really gaining here, right? The result in the brother getting off the Xbox and your client playing the Xbox. So the client is actually gaining the Xbox as a result of unplugging the Xbox. So you should hypothesize the function of unplugging the Xbox is gaining access to the Xbox, which is gaining access to a tangible. Good function question, okay? You need to know the functions of behavior. You need to be familiar with the functions, what they are. Remember, tangible, gaining access, attention, gaining attention, automatic, quote unquote, doing it because it feels good, doing it alone, escape, right? Getting rid of something, okay? In this case, your client is gaining access to the Xbox, therefore gaining access to a tangible. 49, your client is learning how to prepare dinner for his family. He recently learned to cook spaghetti and meatballs independently, except for boiling the water and adding seasoning. What method would be best to teach your client these steps? Okay, so when you see something like teach your client these steps, teach your client these tasks or these chains or these order, right? Start thinking chaining, okay? So immediately eliminate DTT, okay? We have 3 types of chaining: backwards, total, task, and forward. What is forward chaining? Forward chaining is teaching the first step, right? Prompting through the rest. Backwards is prompting through, teaching the last step. But in this case, our client knows basically all the steps except for 2. And they're kind of in the middle, kind of dispersed. When this is the case, when you're just teaching 1 or 2 steps of a whole chain and your client knows most of the steps, what is that called? That is total task chaining. You're teaching the entire chain because your client already possesses most of the skills in the chain, okay, or the steps in the chain, and you only need to teach 1 or 2. So it doesn't make sense going through the whole chain backwards or forward, right? Because you're only focused on a couple, right? So in this case, the best method here is total task chaining. And then finally, question 50, differential reinforcement relies on the absence of a behavior. So which differential reinforcement procedure relies on the absence of a behavior? Remember, differential reinforcement, reinforcing one behavior, other behaviors on extinction, okay? Some of our differential reinforcement, we teach replacement behaviors. And one, okay, we only reinforce when the behavior isn't occurring. Is that DRO, DRL, DRA, DRI? Well, we know DRA and DRI, okay, teach replacement behaviors, right? So those wouldn't be it. So what about DRO? So what is DRO? DRO is differential reinforcement of other behaviors, right? Where we are reinforcing based on the absence of a target behavior. So we pick a target behavior, okay, and as long as it's not occurring, we reinforce. So therefore, differential reinforcement relying on the absence of a behavior is DRO. DRL, we're looking for lower rates of a behavior, but the behavior is still occurring, okay? DRO is the only one where the behavior is not occurring, okay, and we're reinforcing. All right, that's part 5. I hope you enjoyed it. Study hard, study up, right? Any questions, make sure you reach out to me. If you're liking the videos, okay, please like and subscribe. That helps me. Check out our website, get our study materials. They're really going to help you. Other than that, keep studying hard, and I will see you soon.